This is a video about mind control. But it's not about controlling the minds of others. It's about controlling your own mind. Even if your goal is to control the mind of other people, you aren't worse off by first learning how to control yours. Controlling your mind is directly related to achieving whatever you want to achieve in this life, be it material goods, fulfilling relationships, or simply a happier life. It's hard to achieve this without some degree of mind control, since, well, if you don't control your own mind, someone else will. And if not someone else, at least your own unconscious will control you. And this is not something that you want to happen, considering there's a lot of unknown psychological material in there. In Charisma School, we defend that we should take responsibility for our own mind and life, and do what we really want to do, as opposed to being driven by someone or something else. In other words, we should take the driver's seat in life as opposed to riding on the back seat. And this is where our mind control fits in. Knowing where you want to go and making sure that you get there. There are several elements in mind control. Several elements that need mastering to have full control over your mind. Naturally, they have different kind of degrees in order to be fully mastered. But once you are aware of them and their influence on you, and you start to use the first few methods in order to control them, you'll notice a distinct difference. The first element is behavior control. With behavior control, you can actually do what you need and want to do. Your behaviors are precisely what you like them to be. If you want to write 2,000 words every day, that's what you do. If you want to have your projects delivered in time, that's what you do. If you want to exercise every day for 1 hour, that's what you do. If you want to eat well and healthy, that's pretty much what you do. With behavior control, you stopped being influenced by random moods and feelings and just do what needs to be done. Many people just get lost in their own moods and inner feelings, and they stop doing what they really want to do, and they are like a leaf in the wind, getting carried away by the wind instead of standing their ground for what they believe in and really want to do. In other words, their behaviors are controlled by their inner feelings, their subconscious mind, instead of their conscious and rational mind. When you allow this, you are allowing your own passive mind to control you based on what you feel, instead of you controlling what you want to do. As you can imagine, it's hard to go far once you allow this to happen. There are many steps to behavior control, but the first one is always to become aware. Ask yourself constantly during the day, what am I doing? And afterwards, ask again, what do I want to be doing? And then compare your answers. If they are different, then change what you are doing, not much more to it. Obviously, this supposes an already trained mind in your thoughts to understand what exactly are your goals and what you truly want to accomplish, so that answers like, well, I want to be in some paradisiac beach reading a book, when you should be working for your life goal, is not really a correct answer. The next element is thought control, and it means to be able to think in a way that it's appropriate to what you want to achieve in life. It demands a certain control over your inner voice. For many people, their inner voice is a passive activity. They don't really have any control over it. It just happens to them. It pops up. If depressed inner voice happens, then that's just the way it is. If angry inner voice happens, then that's the way it is. No control, just passivity. Yet, if there's anything the mystical traditions have taught us, is that we do have control over what we think. And changing our thoughts is possible. It means instead of thinking negatively, you start to think positively, one thought at a time. This is complete mindfulness, as advocated by Tibetan Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, Christianity, Islamism, and many other religions and mystical traditions. It's possible to change your thoughts. We don't need to be passively at their mercy. For some people listening to this, they may think that this is simplistic, and in fact it is. This is not as simple as it seems like. If you have tried it, you'll know. There's much more to it, as well as particular techniques and processes to start to control your own mind. And even so, it takes time to be able to do this on a consistent basis. But you need to keep in mind that this is possible, and not only possible, but required if you want to have any kind of control over your own mind. Controlling your attention is another key element of mind control. Your attention literally decides what you see, hear, and experience of the world. If you go to a room seeking people only with yellow shirts, you'll miss all those with red, blue, and black shirts. If your attention is turned to your inner life, you won't see the exterior life. If your attention is only turned to the outside, you don't see what's happening with the inside. It's of vital importance we can control our attention. Concentration and attention is of critical importance for many mystical traditions. Christianity, Buddhism, Western esotericism, it doesn't matter. They all have specific practices to train the attention. They know it's fundamental, and the general message is common to all of them. If you want to have any kind of control over yourself, attention is one of the first things that we should cultivate. We shouldn't need to resort to any kind of mystical tradition to learn this fundamental aspect of our mind that affects us in our everyday life. It should be taught outside of the mystic framework, such as any other skill that is taught. Unfortunately, this doesn't happen, and our attention control is much worse than in the past. Once you learn how to regulate your attention and overall mental state, as you can imagine, there's all sorts of good side effects. Emotional regulation, state control, inner voice, they can all fall into place. And another interesting fact is, if there's anything in common with the greatest geniuses of all sorts of arts and sciences throughout history, is their ability to sustain their attention through large periods of time in a subject that they choose, completely focused, with a clear and vivid mind. They may have been lucky enough to be born with this ability to focus their attention in a subject, but for all of us who are not lucky enough to be granted this gift, there is a solution: training the attention to a good enough level. And believe me, we can all do it. We at Charisma School focus a good deal in attention training. We all have negative and positive feelings in a day-to-day basis. This is part of being human. Sometimes we feel good, other times we feel bad. We hope to spend more time feeling good than bad, but still, negative feelings and emotions are part of us, and in a way, inevitable. For that reason, we should be able to accept and work with all the feelings that happen to us, positive and negative ones. If you followed all the other mind control elements, negative feelings will be very much reduced, since, for example, by doing an inner voice control, it's natural to have less negative feelings since you also have less negative thoughts. Yet, even when you're a master at controlling your own inner voice, negative feelings are still bound to pop up every now and then. We shouldn't suppress them or not focus on them, quite the contrary. We should welcome them and accept them as part of you. Instead of trying to repress them even further, we should open up to them by allowing them to take their course and move freely as they should. You are in fact working with them instead of working against them. The problem with negative feelings is always when we resist them. When we resist them, they become stronger and stronger. Precisely what happens with many psycho disorders is the non-acceptance and resistance to the negative feelings. We often bury them and not listen to them. And after some years of doing this, naturally, problems are bound to pop up. Body mastery simply means that you are able to listen to your body and give it what it requires for best functioning, which is not as easy as it seems apparently. Considering obesity and heart problems are some of the leading causes of death in the modern world, my first guess is that we aren't very good at it. Or we can be, but due to some other elements of mind control, we cannot give our body what it needs. But let's just assume that the other elements are not at fault here, and you can already control your behaviors and thoughts in a way that you can take care of your body the best way possible. Even so, you need to become much more aware of what your body really needs. How much sleep, how much exercise, how much food, and what kind of food. All of these components require a specific awareness. It's not just enough to monitor what the latest diet fad says or even what your doctor says for you to do. You need to go deeper. Really listening to your body means keeping a constant attention to your energy levels, to your body feelings, improving and changing your diet, sleep and exercise to whatever fits you best at a certain time. It's possible to feel at peak performance most of the time, but it takes effort, as everything else worthwhile in life. If you have been following Charisma School for a while, you'll know the importance that we give to energy mastery. We talk about several kinds of energy, but the two main ones that we strive for mastery is the tension energy, due to its effects on personal magnetism, and the sexual energy, due to the influence that it has over all the interactions that we come across in your own day-to-day life. Being able to recognize and control the different kinds of energies is of paramount importance. Although you can change your energy with an indirect effect using the mind-based tools, the most efficient and surefire way to make sure that you are using the energy correctly is in fact with methods and techniques that work directly with the energy, that we developed specifically for that purpose. In most cases, the first objective is always to become aware of the energy in your body, and only afterwards you learn how to manipulate it and use it in your own day-to-day life. And finally, we reach the interactions. This is of no less importance considering our life is filled with them on a daily basis and we depend on interactions with others for everything that we do in life. To learning, finding a job, eating, having fun, establishing a family, pretty much everything. Although this can be an obvious consequence of all the other mind control elements, it's also a different aspect of it, one that requires its own mastery. This element means to be able to have authentic relationships as well as to influence, attract, and inspire whenever you need to. As you can see, there are two parts to this element. Neither is of less importance than the other one, and they are not contradictory as it seems at first glance. The first one is to be able to have authentic relationships, to be able to express yourself as you are with others that you choose to. The second one is to be able to influence, attract, and inspire. In life, it's not just enough to be ourselves. We need to be able to get what we want. Be it if it's to win a project, to make a sale, to convince someone. All of this is not enough to do with authentic relationships. We need more, and we need our own personal influence and magnetism in order to do it. They both complement one another. A magnetic person has authentic relationships the same way that he knows how to influence. They are both required in life. Naturally, each person will have more difficulty in mastering a couple of these elements rather than another. It's perfectly normal that, for example, you have a greater difficulty in mastering thoughts and attention, while your next door neighbor has more difficulty mastering his body and energy, and another neighbor has more difficulty in mastering interactions. This depends on our own particular energetic constitution and unconscious mind, and that's okay. But just imagine how you feel like once you can actually control these different elements in your mind. Even if not perfectly and in their full levels, but just a small bit in each of them. How much more could you get done during your day? How much more can you achieve in your life? The possibilities are endless. If you look at successful people all around the globe, they each need to have a certain degree of mind control in order to have achieved that success. I'm not talking about the merely lucky ones who had a stroke of luck in order to achieve their success. I'm talking about those who actually worked for it and made their own luck. Look at the controlled attention and emotional control of Warren Buffett, or the behavior thought control of Steve Jobs, or the body control of pretty much every successful athlete. Cristiano Ronaldo, for example, the famous soccer player, is always the first one getting to the trainings and the last one leaving. They all may have some talent, but it's their mind control that allowed them to be successful. For more information on charisma and personal magnetism, visit charismaschool.com. We have specifically courses which focuses on different topics of mind control. We have a course for personal magnetism, sexual magnetism, the whole magnetic gaze system that is being made available. So visit charismaschool.com for more information.